Good evening, ladies as well as gentlemen. I'm Papa Boris, and I wanted to make a video to talk about the upcoming changes to Hearthstone. These have been confirmed by Blizzard and should be going out later today, or so it would seem. Of course, you can click on the link in the description and read these for yourself, but if you'd like to hear my opinions, then watch the rest of this video, and I hope that you will share yours as well, and we can get a dialogue going in the comments. Let's do this. Unleash the Hounds is a bit of a tortured card. Blizzard, in the last major balance change, changed this card completely to stop a one-turn kill deck from existing, and now it's going to change the mana cost down to 2 from 4. I think it's a good change. I think the card seemed a little bit overpriced, so now that it's cheaper, we should be seeing it a lot more, and it's kind of a strong card. I remember saying when the old patch came out that it looked really weak. I've changed my mind. It's a pretty strong effect. It combos with a lot of things, so making it cheaper is a pretty strong buff, and I'm excited to see what this does for hunters. Here's a change I think we can all be happy about. Pyroblast is now going to cost 10 mana, up from 8. Now, I think it's kind of the same situation as Mind Control. So it's an 8 mana spell that's going up to 10 mana. About Mind Control, I said I didn't think it was necessary, but I liked it. Same thing here. I don't think this is necessary, but I do like it. If Blizzard insists on not nerfing the Mage Hero ability and not stopping it from targeting the opponent directly, which is what I really think Blizzard should do to mages, then making a burn spell a lot more expensive to make those burn decks a lot harder to construct and play effectively is fine, because that'll mean less annoying crap for me to play against. Now, what I suspect this will mean is that Pyroblast will no longer be strong enough to play in Constructed unless you're playing like a fun deck, but it'll still see some use in the arena. Here's a change I've recently become extremely excited about. That is Blood Imp. So Blood Imp currently gives all your minions +1 health, and it's in stealth, so your opponent can't deal with it very easily. It's going to change, though, to be more like the Young Priestess. At the end of your turn, give another random minion +1 health, friendly minion +1 health, and it also goes down to be a 0/1 rather than a 1/1. This is amazing. It's going to make Warlocks a lot less obnoxious to play against, while still being a strong card. And although this is definitely a nerf, in some respects it can be stronger because, of course, the health bonus persists even after the Blood Imp dies, which means that if you're only playing with a handful of minions on the table, then the new Blood Imp in some cases may even be stronger. But if you're playing with a ton of minions, or if you're playing with a ton of Blood Imps, then that's when the ability becomes a lot less strong, and that's awesome. One change I did not see coming is the change to Warsong Commander. So Warsong Commander is one of those kill-at-all cards, or kill-at-all-costs type of card. If you've watched my channel, I've talked about this before. In its current state, Warsong Commander, you need to do whatever it takes to kill it. You should stop at literally nothing to take it off the table. Now it's being nerfed, though. It's only going to give charge to a minion with 3 or less attacks, so it's actually a bit more of an option now. It's a bit more of a decision. Certainly, if minions with 3 or less attack have charge, that is extremely good, but maybe now it's actually reasonable to leave the Warsong Commander alive and do other things depending on what your plans are at that moment. Charge the spell has been changed. So it used to be this, 0 mana, give a friendly minion charge. Now it costs 3 mana, and it gives a friendly minion +2 attack and charge. So my thoughts on this are twofold. Number one, I've always felt like charge should give an attack bonus. Maybe it's from playing D&D a lot, 4th edition, where when you charge you get a +1 bonus to attack. That's neither here nor there. However, 3 mana seems like a lot, and I basically think the new card is absolute trash garbage. Now, the notes about these two changes I think are actually more interesting than any of the card changes themselves. In this note, Blizzard basically comes right out and says, and I don't know if they've said this before or if this is new, but to me, it was new to me. Blizzard comes right out and says, we don't want combo decks in this game. We want this game to be about playing minions and attacking with minions and killing each other's minions. We don't want one-turn kill combo decks, and that's awesome. There are some people who are like, yeah, combo's good for the game. Bullshit. It's boring, it's lame, it sucks. I think it's bad for the game to have combo because it's uninteractive, it's only fun for the person playing it, it's never fun for the other person. And I'm glad, even if you can make reasonable arguments against my position, I'm glad that Blizzard agrees with me, and I'm glad that they are openly and militantly nerfing into the ground every single one-turn kill deck that pops up. So previously, Warsong Commander in Charge let you do shenanigans with Molten Giants and have them combo for one-turn kills. Now that's been completely stopped, and I'm very happy. There's a change to Abusive Sergeant, which is extremely minor. The card is basically the same. They remove the word friendly from it, so now it's give a minion +2 attack. So it's kind of like the Dark Iron Dwarf now in that you can buff an opponent's minion and then kill it with Shadow Word Death or a Big Game Hunter. Now Dark Iron Dwarf's getting a little bit nerfed. Instead of giving a minion +2 attack, it only gives a minion +2 attack until the end of the turn. So obviously that's a pretty significant nerf. It's, almost strictly worse. Yet, even though I like the Dark Iron Dwarf a lot, I'm actually happy for this nerf because it does work out in some situations in your favor. Namely, if you don't have any minions but your opponent does, you can now play a Dark Iron Dwarf. The attack bonus that you give the enemy minion is temporary, and then you're left with a 4/4 on the field. And a 4/4 for 4 is not great, but it's also not terrible. I like this a lot. It makes the Dark Iron Dwarf weaker, but it also makes the Dark Iron Dwarf less conditional. You no longer have to have a minion on the board, nor do you any longer, if you're playing it onto an empty board, have to play it on a totally empty board or else give your opponent's minion a permanent buff. So it's easier to play the Dark Iron Dwarf now, and that's actually a benefit that I am very happy with. I'm willing to pay the price of the card being weaker, so I think this is a really great change. Makes the card more playable, while also toning down the power and the fact that it was giving you a lot of value for its stats. I called this next buff. I totally called this. So Defender of Argus is getting nerfed just like the Shattered Sun Cleric and the Argent Commander did, except instead of nerfing its health, Blizzard has nerfed its power, which makes a lot of sense. It's a defender. So now it has the same stats as a Sun Fury Protector, but for 2 extra mana, you're also giving those 2 adjacent minions +1/+1, rather than just taunt. I think it's an awesome change. I think the card was obviously too strong, and I like this little note here that Blizzard made. They put it in a couple of different places. Cards that feel like they must be in all deck, especially neutral ones, are not ideal. So I'm glad to see that Blizzard is going after those types of cards because it'll add more variety to the game. Novice Engineer, did not see this coming, is now having its health chopped to 1. So it's going to be a 1/1, kind of like the Elvish Visionary in Magic. It's a 2-mana 1/1 that draws a card. It means that rogues can kill it, druids can kill it, and mages can kill it in one go. It also means that it dies to, whirlwinds and mortal coils, and elven archers, and lots of other little stuff like that. So it really is a really significant change, and it makes it a much closer competition between the Novice Engineer and the Loot Hoarder. I think Novice Engineer is still generally better than the Loot Hoarder, unless you want to be super duper aggressive, just because you get the card right away. And I'm kind of sad to see the health go. I don't think this was a necessary change. I mean, I guess Blizzard has the data. Maybe it was being played too much. I like that you could kill a couple of Paladin recruits with it. I like that it didn't auto-die to rogues, druids, and mages. So I'll definitely be taking this card a little bit less, and I'm kind of sad to see a really solid role player card bite it. Finally, Sylvanas Windrunner is going to get nerfed. The mana cost is increasing up to 6 from 5. So that makes a lot of sense. I mean, 5/5 for 5 is only paying 1 stat point compared to a hypothetical neutral 5-mana card for an amazing death rattle that's just completely warps the game the moment that you play it. So it's pretty reasonable that the mana cost should be higher, or that the stats should have been lowered. Looks like Blizzard chose to raise the mana cost. Now, here's an interesting thing. Whenever Blizzard makes changes to cards, there's a temporary window in which you can disenchant those cards for their full disenchant value. So in other words, normally, if you were to disenchant a legendary, you'd get 400 dust, but after this patch, you can actually disenchant Sylvanas, if you have one, for 1600 dust. So I highly recommend, actually, that you do, if you have Sylvanas, and you're not using her in any of your decks currently, that you do disenchant her for 1600 dust, because you know what, if you decide later that you need her, you can always re-enchant her, and you've lost nothing. But when that window closes, and when she goes back to disenchanting for 400 dust, like every other legendary, if you open a pack that has a second one, then you're going to basically lose 1200 dust. And 1200 dust is a lot of dust, so I think normally I don't really care that much about dust management, but this is a case where it's for 0 risk, you get a potentially big reward. Highly encourage you, if you're not using her, to disenchant her, and then if you need her, re-enchant her later, or if not, wait until you get a second one, and then you'll be happy to pocket that extra 1200 dust. Thank you so much for watching this video. Again, let me know what your thoughts are in the comments about any of these changes, or if you disagree with me in any of my assessments. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like the video and or subscribe to my channel if you did, and I will see you soon for some more Hearthstone Arena action. Till then.